When I was growing up, all I cared about was playing online. I had a PS2, I had a PSP, I played some of the classics, but when I got my PS3 that came with the free online, that's when I really got serious into gaming. I used to play nothing but Call of Duty, Battlefield, GTA Online, even the Uncharted multiplayer games if you remember those. But somewhere along the way, it just lost its luster, man. I stopped enjoying them like I used to. So today I'll be outlining, for the most part, why I retired from online PvP. Now let me preface this by saying I haven't completely 100% given up. I will play the occasional online with some friends, but I'm not grinding levels and camos in excess of 10 hours a day like I did when I was a teenager. These days when I play online, it's usually for about an hour or two at most. Also, it's worth noting that my primary multiplayer experience comes from Call of Duty, so a lot of the video will be kind of centered around that sort of gameplay formula, but as we'll discuss later, it's not exclusive to Call of Duty. A big reason is just that it's gotten way too competitive a lot faster than it used to. When a new game comes out, like COD, everyone is already cracked at the game before it even comes out. There used to be a period of time between the launch of the game and when people got really good, and in today's landscape, that period of time just doesn't exist anymore. All of your first-person shooters are like that. However, I will acknowledge that online PvP, especially first-person shooters, have always been competitive. That's the nature of them, and that's the entire reason you play them. But with the influence of YouTube, TikTok, and all these other forms of media, coupled with the fact that there's just so many more people playing video games than there were 10, 15 years ago, when you add the prospect of monetary gain that you see all these pro players and streamers get, you start to breed this community where everyone feels the need to sweat it out every game because I think if you try hard enough, you can make it. And honestly, I don't blame them at all. Who doesn't want to make a living playing video games all day? Or an even better question is this: who doesn't want to try and monetize doing something they already love doing and will do anyway? It was a lot more difficult to make it playing video games even 10 years ago. Not even just YouTube, but now we got Instagram, TikTok, and all these other platforms that have the potential of generating revenue if you gain a following. I think that's one of, if not the main reason, we're kind of experiencing this hyper-competitive landscape in gaming today. What's arguably an even worse point is just how hyper-monetized everything is. You can't look at the menu for 5 seconds without an ad for a battle pass, a season pass, or whatever it is they try to peddle off to you these days. And while I know they're not the inventors of it, I do give a lot of that credit to Fortnite. Fortnite completely revolutionized how to monetize an online video game. And the reason why I can say that with such authority is because every game has copied them since. And it doesn't even matter what game you're playing. It doesn't have to be Call of Duty or Battlefield or any of those other shooters. Every time you turn around, somebody's got a premium skin and you constantly see it while you're playing. And eventually it makes you think, man, that thing looks pretty good. I might want to buy that. It's no secret that the only items ever worth having are locked behind a battle pass or in the storefront. And not only are these items worth having locked behind these battle passes and storefronts, but they operate off these FOMO tactics to where it makes you feel like you have to get it because you don't know if it's ever going to come back. A lot of people like to talk about how dumb the publishers are, and sometimes they make decisions that seriously negatively impact the game, but at some point you have to give the devil his due. These executives know exactly what they're doing a lot of the time. And now I understand they got to keep the lights on at the office. Every business is in business to make money, and game publishers are no exception. But the way they've been doing things have been unchecked for years now, to the point where a lot of these games that come out look like just a blatant cash grab. I mean, look at Concord and Highguard. The minute they got revealed to be online PvP, whether it was 3v3 or 5v5, everybody wrote it off immediately because they saw right through it. It's another game trying to make Fortnite money. But now we must recognize that monetization in online games have been a thing since pretty much the inception of online games. So if monetization has been a thing since forever, and publishers have always needed to make money on their games, where's the problem? The problem is where the line gets crossed. And a lot of these executives can't seem to figure out where the store is supposed to end and where the game is supposed to start. A lot of these games feel like a storefront with just a game on the side, and it usually ends up with a bad product. It doesn't matter if you've got a hyped up version of a matchmaking algorithm or an extremely FOMO-ish storefront with a lot of cool characters. If the game is bad, nobody's going to play it. And like we've established previously, if there's nobody playing the game, there's no money going to be made. So realistically, what these executives have to do is figure out how to make a good game first. The game has to be fun first and foremost. And once the game is fun, eventually you'll get people that don't mind spending a little money on it. This next section could be considered somewhat of a hot button issue. I've seen a lot of good arguments for and against it, but we can't make a video talking about multiplayer gaming in 2026 without bringing up some form of skill-based matchmaking or engagement-optimized matchmaking or whatever it is you want to call it. And when I say skill-based matchmaking, I'm talking about any sort of matchmaking algorithm that increases the skill of your opponents as you increase in skill yourself. Folks, don't get it twisted. Skill-based matchmaking has been a thing in gaming for a long time. And if you play Call of Duty today, I can guarantee you that skill-based matchmaking has been a part of the game for at least 15 years. I remember playing Black Ops 2 in 2013, and I saw people with 0.01 kill-death ratios all the time. I've also been watching Call of Duty content on YouTube for the same time period, and I remember people making YouTube videos in 2012, 2013, and going into the earlier part of 2014, specifically about Black Ops 2, talking about skill-based matchmaking. And then around the time Advanced Warfare came out, that's when the conversations surrounding it really started to ramp up. Now, with all that being said, with all the knowledge we have established here, I'm generally not a fan of skill-based matchmaking in public, unranked playlists. And I feel like that distinction is important because when you're playing a competitive or ranked playlist, there is a reasonable expectation that you're going to be put up against people of equal or higher skill level every single time with very little randomness in between. And the reason why I generally don't like skill-based matchmaking in public playlists is because it kills the organic feeling of the game. One of the primary reasons of playing these online games should be to make friends, build communities. And with skill-based matchmaking in its current form and iteration in most of the games you're going to find today, it's very difficult to establish that, mainly due to the reason there's a high likelihood that you're going to have a really bad time playing with your lower skilled friends. Or, if you're on the other side, you can't play with your higher skilled friends. It just doesn't make sense, and it's not fun. And while you could make the argument that it doesn't matter if you win or lose as long as I'm playing with my friends and we're having a good time, eventually it comes to a point where y'all are going to lose most of your games and it's not going to be fun anymore. You can only lose so many times in a row before you're like, man, I think I just want to play something else. Man, I couldn't tell you why skill-based matchmaking is in a state it's in right now. I think it has a lot to do with the shifting landscape and the audience of the games. There's a lot more people playing than there used to be. So I understand and recognize the argument that skill-based matchmaking might possibly be a necessary evil. So while I generally am distasteful of skill-based matchmaking, I understand why it's there. It's there because the publishers need to make money, and they can't have a large majority of their player base quit because a small portion of the player base got really good really fast. Because like I've established before, nobody wants to get dumpstered game after game after game. And when the players leave, so does the money. So with the doom and gloom out of the way, what's my remedy? I mainly play single player games now. Over the last 2 years, I've gotten to play a lot of games that I missed out on throughout the years, just simply due to the fact that I was entrenched in the PvP cycle, usually around the yearly release of Call of Duty. I'm discovering what I actually like and what I want in games that I never would have achieved without stepping away from online. And over these past 2 or so years, the 20 some odd games that I played, which I never played before, has really struck a chord with me. Some of my favorite games I've ever played have come from a hand-picked backlog of games I have never played or even really heard about previously. I'm a whole lot more willing to try new games instead of replaying the same ones over and over again, whether they were multiplayer or the few single-player games I did play. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily subscribe to the whole gaming is dying ideology that people on YouTube and Reddit and TikTok and all these other platforms try to push. Don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. I absolutely see the problems with AAA, but a large chunk of that argument I've noticed is really centered around the live service argument. And even still, that doesn't necessarily mean that there's no games to play, even including in the AAA space. So I recommend that it do you some good to expand your horizons. Try a game that's looked kind of interesting, try a game that's been out for a while that you've heard is pretty good, or find a good co-op game to play with your friends if single player is absolutely like off the table for you. There's plenty to play, man. All you gotta do is look for them. I hope you enjoyed the video. and I hope you're able to take away some things you either learned or have felt yourself for a long time. I didn't intend for this to be a hit piece. It's more or less a video on why I personally just don't connect with playing online anymore. I think it's important that when we talk about these things with the intent of criticism, we must analyze as many avenues as we possibly can in order to get to the root of the problem to try and fix it, or to just try and better understand the situation as a whole. And I hope I was able to provide you with that in this video. Leave a like if you would, and comment if you feel obliged. Let me know if you feel the same way. Did you stop playing online games? Was it for any of the reasons that I talked about in this video or something else? If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. I appreciate the support, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.